So I want to talk about consuming things on social media. Hi guys, this is Serena Starlight with you. I hope everyone's doing well and fabulous. Don't forget, comment, like, subscribe, follow, all the things. So I've been talking about a lot of stuff besides this witchcraft recently. And one thing that I want to talk about, I've been talking about people consuming too much junk, buying too much junk, fast food, too much clothes, just too much shit they don't need, always going shopping, not judging anyone, of course not. But I also want to talk about consuming too much stuff on the internet. I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to leave it at this. Pretty much every and this is entertainment purposes only. This is my opinion. This is my belief. This is not a proven fact. This is, metaphorically speaking, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so famous people, pretty much all famous people had to do something bad to become famous. I don't care how much of a fan you are of someone. Not all famous people. Like, what's that guy, Robin Williams? I don't think he was bad. But almost, like Princess Diana, she was actually a very good person, hence why she was taken off of this planet. So I'm just going to say that most famous people are not good people. And they're full of negativity, and they're vampires. And they take energy off of you watching their content, buying their tickets, listening to their music. Guys, it's very, very important that you are very careful with who you watch, who you listen to, what you watch. I would stay the hell away from concerts. Concerts are one of the worst. They're so full of negativity, and it is a form of energy vampirism that the famous people do. I'm not going to go too deep into this because this will scramble people's brains, and they will just say I'm crazy. Just do your own research. Although the research is kind of hard to find, you have to know where to look. But I recently went through all my social medias, and I unfollowed a bunch of people, and I unfollowed a bunch of pages. I don't follow anyone famous. Like I said, pretty much every famous person is negative, and they got more money and fame than what they should have, than what they deserve. Okay, like, I'm not going to give them my energy, my time, money from watching their content. I hate to sound like a hater, but most famous people are not good people, and it's not good to watch their content. It's not. I stay away from concerts. I don't follow any famous person. I don't even really listen to normal music anymore. I literally listen to like Viking music now because it helps with my craft, and like very high vibrational magical music. You got to be careful with what you listen to, who you watch. You got to be careful with the content that you are consuming. Like I said, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but like you can literally open up portals in your house by watching a horror movie. Like, you can't say you're spiritual if you're obsessed with murder and horror movies and horror books, and you can't say you're spiritual if you're obsessed with these things. You've got to be careful with what you watch, with what you listen to, with what games you play, with what you consume. These things will affect your mind, body, and soul. They will open up portals. They will bring in evil entities and spirits. The list can go on. And like I said, I don't watch any famous person anymore, like a famous singer or a famous actor, unless I feel in my heart they have positive energy and that they're trustworthy and that they have a good heart. And that's like no one. Like, I can't think of one person on top of my head that I truly like that's famous. I mean, yeah, I love watching TV, do not get me wrong. But I try to stay away from horror stuff that is just very negative. My favorite TV shows is Stargate and Heartland. They're very positive, very high vibrational, just wonderful shows to watch. So try to find some, try to find people and content that's positive, high vibrational, that don't cuss a lot, that don't have like murder and sexual things. I'm telling you guys. And like, I don't like following people on TikTok, on YouTube, or Facebook. I don't follow people who is famous or has millions of subscribers. Like I don't, because like most of these people are negative. They're they're doing dark stuff to their followers. They're doing energy vampirism, and like Hollywood is so corrupt, guys. It's so like most famous people have to do some very bad things in order to become famous. Like, you can't really become famous unless you do some bad stuff, and they do all sorts of. Once you're in it, once you're famous, they do all kinds of shit to your energy. They fuck you up. Okay, I'm not gonna keep going. I'm not gonna go any deeper than that because the rabbit hole is extremely deep, and most people can't handle it, and it's going to scramble people's brain, and people are going to say you're crazy, you're a liar, you have schizophrenia, yada yada yada. Most people are not ready for this type of information. But just do your own research and just be careful with who you're idolizing. Like, I don't understand, like, people go to concerts and they're screaming and crying and reaching out to touch that person. They're just a human being. They shit like you shit. They're not shitting rainbows and unicorns. Like, there's nothing, you shouldn't be acting like that over normal human beings. Fucking the hottest celebrity can stand right in front of me right now and it will not faze me at all. I'm like, no, you're just a human. You're nothing special. Okay, so stop idolizing these normal humans. Stop giving them your energy and your money. Like, be careful who you're following, who you're subscribing, who you're listening to, who you're watching. They're normal human beings, but they, allegedly, supposedly, metaphorically, entertainment purposes only, so my opinion only, they've done things to become famous, and they're negative energy vampires that don't give a crap about you. They don't love you. They don't care about you. What celebrity do you see who's doing things to change the world? The only celebrity who I've seen is Mr. Beast, and I'm not sure about all, and I don't, but he's the only one that I've seen who's trying to make a difference. But like I said, I don't know. But these celebrities, they spend all this money on all their luxuries when they could be, ending world hunger. They can be, like, I could not imagine having that much money in my bank. If I had the money to buy a mansion, I would not buy a mansion. The first thing I do would go buy a log cabin on a nice piece of few acres of land, and I'd probably donate the rest. Like, these people are selfish, they're greedy, they don't care about you, they don't love you, they just care about their money and their fame and their subscribers and their followers. Now, I love seeing people with large following do things, charity work, and donate. Those people I support. But you hardly see that nowadays. No offense, but if I see someone with a large following, and sometimes following don't always mean they're wealthy, but they got a large following and they're pretty well off and they're doing nothing to help others. They're no better than a parasite. They're no better than scum of the earth. They just care about people consuming their music, their shows, or their movies, their content, whatever. These popular people, these celebrities, they could change the world in probably a week, okay? They could end world hunger. They could build houses. Look at all these celebrities who are so filthy rich. You never see or hear about them doing anything for anyone. Okay, like I said, I couldn't imagine having millions in my bank account and not trying to change the world with it. Anyway, this is just my opinion, my belief. But the content that you consume will affect, like I said, your mind, your body, your soul. It can do a lot of damage. So it's very important you be careful with what you're consuming. And it's very important that you're careful with who you are following on social media. Like I said, I pretty much don't follow anyone anymore unless I really like that person. I don't follow like any celebrities whatsoever. Like I said, they're all pretty much evil. I mean, just look at what's going on with the Epstein files. You think it ends with him? Honey, you just don't know how deep the rabbit hole is. I'm just going to shut my mouth. I'm not going to say anything else, but there's a lot more I can say about this. There's a lot more I can talk about this. If you just do a quick Google search, it's not going to tell you what you need to know. Like I said, you got to know where to look. You got to know who to watch. I like watching Billy Carson. I like watching Laura Starr, Dolores Cannon. I can't think of any more on top of my head, but there's a lot of people out there, a lot of whistleblowers who talk about this stuff. You have to know who to look for. You have to know where to go to find this information. But it's real shit, guys. And there's another girl. What is her name? She's very difficult to find. Her name's Allie. She's a black girl, very, very pretty black girl with curly hair. And she is a survivor of sex trafficking, and I believe she met Epstein. But she's very hard to find. Allie Carter, I believe her name is. Wonderful girl to watch. She talks about this. But anyway, like I'm telling you guys, my opinion only. Pretty much every celebrity, it's my opinion, but pretty much every celebrity is evil. They have to do evil things to become celebrities. Once they end up in that system, they're fucked up in all sorts of ways. They get fucked up in all sorts of ways. Then they become dark, and people with a large following, usually Spirit is telling me to shut up. I was literally just given a warning to shut up. So I'm not going to say anything else. I know, yeah, my nose is itching to tell me to shut up. But yeah, I'm going to leave it at this. Be careful who you watch, who you idolize, who you're a fan of. Be careful what content you consume. Games, TV, shows, music. Just be very careful with this stuff. Like I said, I'm very careful nowadays with what I listen to, with what I watch, with, this stuff will literally mess up your brain, okay? Like, it will fuck you up if you're not careful. And some damage is, irreversible. So, the only person you should be a fan of, the only person you should be idolizing is yourself. The only person you should look at and cry and fan over is yourself, not some idiot on a stage who doesn't care if you live or breathe, who doesn't care if you die in the next 10 seconds of watching or going to their concert. You know what I mean? Like, there's this thing called, what is it? Eat the rich or stop the rich or something like that. It's a new kind of like a movement where people are no longer supporting these celebrities, these rich people. They're no longer buying their products, their tickets, no longer watching their content, no longer subscribing to them, blocking them, and that's what everyone should be doing. You're just rich. I was trying to say rich and greedy at the same time. Rich is a good one. But they're just rich, greedy, dark energy vampires who do not give a crap about their fans, and they don't give a crap about their world. They'd rather buy $1 billion shoe than feed the poor. Okay, so I have no respect for these human beings. They're nothing but parasites to me. Nothing but parasites. They're no different than a worm. I don't care how famous they are. I don't care how wealthy they are. I don't care how beautiful they are. If they're not using that fame, that influence, that power, that money to change the world, to help people, they're no different than an energy vampire. They're no different than a parasite. In my opinion, they should lose all their money, and it should go to those in need. No one should be that rich. No one. No one needs millions in their bank account. You're fine with just $1 million, okay? No one needs millions and billions. Just saying. But yeah, I'm gonna shut up now. Just be careful. Be careful with what you are consuming. It will affect your body. It will affect your mind. It will affect your chakras. It will affect your soul. It will affect the energy in your house, your life. Actually, I don't know if it will, metaphorically speaking, in my opinion speaking. Anyway, I love you guys.